Welcome to Between State Lines.
This episode contains a brief mention of suicide, and as such, listener discretion is advised. If you or someone you know needs support, please reach out to the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by calling or texting 988. You're not alone, and help is available. Welcome back to Between State Lines, episode 18. And before we get started with today's episode, we just want to remind all of our listeners that while we deeply respect the insights shared by our guests, their opinions and beliefs are not necessarily reflective of our own. Our goal at Between State Lines is to foster open conversations and thoughtful dialogue because we believe that understanding starts with listening and asking questions. Today we have an exciting guest, Terry. He is a ghost hunter, would you say?
Yeah, I'm a psychic medium and also a ghost hunter as well.
Tell us a little bit about what you do in your world.
Well, basically, as far as the investigations are concerned, you really want to try and hone in on something that you're comfortable with. Um, Being in the South, we have so many different locations that investigators can go to because, Civil War on up, we have, like I said, so many things that we can go and look for. Um, the As far as preparation is concerned, that's basically what you really need. You need your equipment. You need some trustworthy people if you go with other people, and that you can rely on, and then off you go.
So, as a skeptic, what would you say is the scariest that you've ever kind of scariest place you've ever explored?
Uh, there was a state prison in Florida. Um, I really started doing this when I was 22. Um, but I moved to Florida, Central Florida, as a matter of fact, and there was a state prison that had been abandoned. Me and a group of buddies, we actually went to a tour there, and there was actually some shadow figures there that were not so nice to me. So I came home with some bruises and some scratches that night. So if you ever want to
Like
believe,
now when you say bruises and scratches, you mean like actual bruises or like to your 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 mental state?
oh no, actual physical bruises and scratches. Yeah,
Oh man.
they were like, like I said, shadow people. They're just they like to stay within the shadows so they do not get seen. And when they get seen, that kind of busts their cover, and they're not so nice. I just look at them as spirits with no light because that's exactly what they are to me. If anybody who crosses over into the light, they have light. These people supposedly do not go into the light, so therefore they have darkness. Uh,
Are these close to would you consider them poltergeists?
yeah, absolutely. I've seen a poltergeist. I've seen just about
Well,
everything
thank
out there,
you.
just about. I mean, like I said, I've been doing this since I was 22, and I'm 55 now, so a long time.
So you said that they weren't very nice to you. Were they bothering any of your other people that came with you, or were they just like fixated on you?
Well, I'll make it as simple as possible for everybody. Usually, anybody who walks into any type of place that might have paranormal activity, they usually gravitate towards those type of individuals before they will someone else, only because they know that they have the abilities. And with me being a physical medium, they're going to just come right after me, and they did that night. So luckily, you have to have your preparations and your protections. So
Um
it I'm going to bust you.
so so,
I'm going
so
to do it.
So being a medium, and Danny and I touched on this last night a little bit. Um, how often do you talk to spirits, like when you're on these investigations?
Oh, roughly every time, really. What I go out to really do investigations, like normally around my area, I'll go to like cemeteries, graveyards, abandoned churches, anything that I know that has a possibility of having paranormal activity. And paranormal activity could be anything all the way down to something that's residual, something that somebody did all of their life over and over and over again. That's all residual energy. But yes, I'm open to communication with these spirits there anytime I go out on an investigation because, in my eyes, you don't know when you're going to meet a spirit that needs help and crossed over. And that is something that I personally take to heart. Um, when you can help somebody cross over into the light and be where they really need to be, that's very comforting for me. Just to say the least. So it's really good.
So my only idea and like knowledge about ghost hunters is simply because I had a roommate in college who watched the like show on the Sci-Fi Channel. Like that's my only
Oh,
point of reference.
yes.
How similar or how far away is that from reality of what you do?
Well, I will tell you this. In my opinion, a lot of the ghost shows that you see on TV now, it's totally different than what it actually is. When you're watching a TV show, it's usually filmed for like a week or two. Okay. When we go out, it's that night, right? So y- they stay that long in order to catch enough for like an hour's worth of episode, right? So when we go out, or I go out by myself, I catch what I catch. Okay. Um. So yeah, I mean, it is. I think it's totally different. But it's yes, as far as what um the difference between TV shows and everything, the things that you could possibly see in a TV show is out here. Okay, you just have to be in the right place at the right time in order to capture it or order to feel it. Um, so yes, technically to answer your question, yeah, it is the same things, but we're doing it in a nightly thing versus maybe a week or two of recording.
So going back to you helping spirits move on,
Yeah.
when that happens and they cross over, do you does the room feel like lighter in a way, or does it feel like a presence is left, or does it like do you sense that they moved on?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And holding, you can even feel it out in the field. Okay. Um, you can feel that heaviness because they're just there. They're wanting to move on. And when you can help them, you know, go into the light and be where they need to be, even out in the field, it becomes lighter. Much less in my living room where, they flow in and out of my house all the time. And it doesn't bother me because they're always usually those that have crossed over into the light. So it doesn't bother me a bit.
And have you ever like have any spirits in that situation given you messages to pass on to their living loved ones?
I have, yeah. Um, Actually, just last week I was at a store, and I got what we call a download. Okay, and yeah, I was right there in the middle of the store, and I was shopping, and I was told to tell this lady that was right in front of me, and it's like, how do you go up to a lady and say, I just got a message from, my spirit guide, and I'm supposed to tell you about your grandmother, right? That she's okay. I'm probably gonna get slapped, purse upside the head, something. Um, but when you're called to do that and you're asked to do it, you need to do it. Okay, so it's not always a sexy thing, right? Um, but it's sometimes needed.
Wow, that's I've always wondered if like, psychics, mediums, like in the field, they do that, but it's a good thing that you are able to. I know it's probably comforting for the people who are still alive too.
Like when you give these messages, are they like normally
Yep.
well received, or do you get people who are like, "What are you talking about? Please get out of here." Or is it a mix?
Well, it can be a mix, but luckily the one that I was telling you about last week, her grandmother had passed 2 weeks before. So it was well receptive. She and her grandmother had a really strong bond when she was living, and it was kind of like a really good um, feeling for her to know that she was receiving a message from her grandmother. Okay. Um, I mean, I had to explain it all the way down to, her gray hairs, her glasses, what she wore, and so on and so forth, just to verify that she was, I was giving her messages from her grandmother. So, but it was very well received on that, but it could be 50-50. That's why you always get prepared to be, to run.
how how often do you have the situation where someone's like, "Get out of here! I don't want, I don't want to talk to you."
I mean, well, first and foremost, I think you have to understand. And I'm not knocking anybody, but I was born and raised with this. I first realized what was going on at the age of 5. Okay. Um, but to actually go up and say something to somebody that you actually don't know, it's very difficult. Um, so you're a little bit apprehensive, just like you could be going into a cemetery at night, right? So how many people can do that? But if you want to um, go up to a person, even though that you feel their energy coming off of them, like they would not be receptive to this. It is kind of terrifying because they might beat the crap out of you, but you know, um, it's something that I feel like everybody who has never experienced anything such as the paranormal, they don't or haven't because it's never happened to them yet. We forget spirits are very transient. They don't stay in one place.
I can't say I've ever had any experiences with their paranormal, which is probably why I'm the the skeptic in the relationship. Where
Right.
I don't know how I would take it if you came up to me in the grocery store. I might be one of the ones that are like, "Excuse me, I don't have time for this."
Oh, 100%. We've had things happen in this house. Like there's one night like 3 in the
Yeah.
morning that our daughter's toys were like going off downstairs, and I heard it, got up and checked on it, and I'm like, "Oh man, that's crazy!" Like I'm pretty sure it was a ghost or something. And Emily's
Mhm.
like, it's just the cats."
Tell yourself it's just the cats and you'll be fine.
So dive back into spirits for a sec. Have you ever encountered any possessions? And I mean, I guess spirits, from my limited knowledge of possessions, I feel like it's more a demonic possession, not like a spirit possession. Is that what you would define a possession as?
So I've had at least 2 that I can remember in my lifetime. They were never ever good. So, but I did have some friends with me who knew exactly what to do if that ever did happen. So, luckily, I had them with me, and we just went directly to there. But I had some friends that were um, with local Catholic churches here, so they knew kind of what to do. So I went directly to them, and that was never a good experience.
Yeah, I can imagine. It sounds terrifying. So when you go into these investigations, I'm gonna
Yeah.
tie back to Emily's ghost hunter questions. Um,
Okay.
there, I've seen on TV where they try to debunk things like, okay, the knocking, like the sounds that you're hearing in the walls might be like pipes knocking. Do you guys go in
Yes.
looking to debunk some of these like one-off things to try to limit what you're looking for?
I do. The reason why I do is because I always pretty much record everything that I where I'm at, right? Um, if I hear a bump or a thump or a knock, I really want to hear and see where it came from. So you really want to, as a good seasoned investigator, you really want to debunk that, because if you cannot debunk it, then it is questionable, but you can't prove otherwise, right? So I do try to do that. Um, it is very hard to do when you're out in the cemetery, though. I will tell you.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Hmm. But I use like a lot of devices as well, Holden, um, just to give me some type of indication of where the spirit may be, if there is a spirit that's around me. I mean, physically, I can see them when they do allow me to see. But if not, I have devices that I use that I can pinpoint where they are.
Uh, what are some of those devices that you use? I'm only familiar with like this. I think the Spirit Box.
Oh yeah,
I'm
yeah.
familiar with nothing, so
Well, by the time the end of the show, you will be at least knowledgeable about three.
Okay,
Um,
perfect.
so you are used to the Spirit Box, okay, which can be purchased. And actually the apps that you can download on your phone, if you get the correct ones, like I do, they're also just as good. Okay. Um, I also have a K2 meter, which measures um, electromagnetic fields. Okay. And if there's anything that's it is often said a spirit is creates that electromagnetic field. So when it gets around this K2 meter, it'll light up. Okay. I also have REM pods. Have you ever heard of a REM pod?
I have not, but I know that Danny mentioned that she is getting one apparently a Sunday.
Well, she's behind in the game. So yeah, the REM pod kind of functions the same way. It is very sensitive, and it comes with a small antenna that you attach to it. And there's three different types of settings on the REM pod, to where the sensitivity level is where you want it to be. If your spirit gets around it, it could either touch the sides of it, touch the antenna, or anywhere around it. These lights are going to pop on. Okay, so you'll know that there's something around that instrument as well. And then I'll also use a laser grid. The laser grid for me, it's the GS1 is what I use. It's more portable. It's very strong as far as the grid that it puts up, but you really can only use the grid on something that's like a wall type thing. But you use the grid just in case you ever see like a shadow figure come across, okay, and you're recording that. You can actually see the shadow figure cross between those laser grids.
Are there any like ghost hunting gears that's like marketed that you think is just malarkey, like they don't work?
Well, I will tell you, I do have a set of these, and I feel like it's like, I don't know, 70-30 type feel. But do you ever remember your grandparents going out and searching for water with these sticks?
Oh, like divining sticks, what are they called?
Are they
Yeah,
dowsing
the
rods? Is that
dowsing
what they're
rod.
Dowsing
called?
rods?
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are. I mean, those are to me, they're so manipulated, even by the slightest touch of your thumbs or your inside of your thumbs, they can be manipulated. So I want something more concrete, but I feel like those are a very popular thing that's sold everywhere. But I just personally don't take them on any investigation because they don't give me 100% proof. right?
I've always been like a skeptic as far as dowsing rods go because I've seen them used. I'm like, these just seem like they can be
Hmm.
so easily, like you said, manipulated and easily to make them seem like they're doing something that they're not actually doing. So in your investigations, you've said you've come across shadow people.
Hmm.
Have you ever either caught on video or seen an actual ghost, like a spirit, not a shadow person, an actual spirit in your
Yes.
investigation?
Well, I do see them every day, though, Holton.
Oh, you see them every day?
Well, yeah, every day I
Yeah.
do channeling on TikTok. So, I mean, every time that's
Oh,
what
that's
channeling is. You're meeting a spirit halfway. Okay. So you're a medium. So you're meeting them halfway from the spirit world to this earthly plane. So you're meeting them there. So I'm channeling them from where I meet them. So yeah, technically I'm letting them come through my channel and I'm getting anything that they're showing me, telling me, making me feel um, through me, right? So technically I am channeling them every time. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I would like that. Like, more power to you, but that sounds awful. Like,
I will tell you the worst part about it is, I mean, even though these people are wonderful people and they are in spirit, they still can seem a little rambunctious to me. There's been plenty of ladies that I have channeled that just put the little thought in my head, say, "You wanna go dancing? Or you look cute," and all this stuff, and I'm like, "Oh my god, please." But it is a different thing that you go through because, um, they do like a physical medium, you'll feel like how they passed away. Like if they had died of a heart attack, my chest will get really sore and palpate. If they were a
well, that
smoker,
sounds awful.
my lungs would fill out. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm used to it by
um
now, so.
yeah, I would say so. You're still doing it, so you're definitely used to it. You've grown a strong skin. I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I just hope I go to the right place when I go over.
So you say you encounter spirits every day in
Yeah.
your walking life. Um, Now, do you like? Is it more like when you close your eyes, you can see an image of them, or do they just like appear before you, as if like Emily's in front of me and I can see her? Is that how it is for you, or do you see her and then more like a vision in your head?
No, it's more like a vision. Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm. It's more
I feel like
vision, and I
it's
think that's the reason because of, there's if you know anything about chakras, did she go over chakras with you in your education?
she did not. Am I?
Shame on her.
She did
Okay.
not.
Well,
Not go. She must have failed me there.
so basically, the tender spot on top of your head. I always call it like your baby spot.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's your crown chakra. Okay, so that is where you receive information. Okay, your third eye chakra, where you envision this information, is right between your eyebrows. Okay, it's kind of like your third eye, and when that's open, you see what is channeled through your crown chakra to your third eye. Okay. So now don't get me wrong, I don't see all of them because they don't make themselves known until they want to. Okay. So they could be like a clear mist or anything like that. They would have to really manifest themselves in order for someone to see a full apparition of them.
Would me, because I'm such a skeptic, is my like third eye just like squeezing itself shut?
Yeah. Opening your third eye or any chakra is actually, it takes time and practice. Um, I have people coming to me, especially on TikTok, wanting to take my courses, and I'm like, okay, but I said I don't mind if you enroll into a course, but just make sure you are ready because if you open your third eye and you start channeling spirits like I do, you might not have all the clairs that are open that I have, But if your third eye comes open, be mindful that you can actually see, and they will show you how they passed. Okay, it could be just from natural causes, or it could be a really bad accident, right? So I tell them be very mindful of that, and just make sure that that's what they want.
Yeah, I
But
think I'll happily keep my third eye very, very well shut. I might even, like, make a little third eye patch
yeah, there you
to
go.
further protect it.
Well, I will
I
tell you. Go ahead.
I'll say I joke around with her a lot where I'm like, if I die before you will
Mhm.
know that I'm a spirit because I'm going to like put all the dishes in the wrong spot. I'm going to like
Do
mess
that
the
anyways.
I do, but then you'll know it's me.
That's funny. Well, technically, what you can do if you ever feel like you're visioning something that's not something that you normally would envision, right? Something that you feel like is in the spirit realms and stuff like that. You can tap your third eye, okay, until it stops. That normally will shut your third eye.
Just me the rest of my life,
Constantly
just
tapping it.
gently tapping my forehead. People come up to me and be
I'm
like, "What are you doing?" Be like,
definitely tapping.
"Don't worry about it. Terry told me to do it. Don't worry. It's
Well, I mean, I've got
fine."
enough experience. Like I said, I'm not. I've never ever. People ask me, well, why don't you do like a YouTube show and all this other stuff? And I says, look, I says, the main thing is that I learned from a very early age is it's not about notoriety. It's not about getting a show. It's about helping people, right? Um, because the one who gave me and anybody else in this country the abilities that we have, if we don't use them for the greatest good, they can be yanked away just in a heartbeat. Um, so I really lean on that because if I don't use it for the greatest good, yeah. If I don't want to do this, I get it done. I can have it over with, but I don't want to do that. Right? I like helping
Yeah,
people.
that's fair. You're
um
Yeah.
better than me.
ha- have you so I asked Danny this last night as well, but have you had the opportunity either through like a reading, if someone asks you to help find a loved one, or if you're out in the field and a spirit tells you, how they were murdered, they communicate that to you. For example, have you ever had the opportunity to work with police on solving some unsolved mysteries or missing persons cases?
Well, that's a sticky subject. I would love to have. I would love to say yes. I have done a lot of them. But I have worked with family members. I always hope that I'm not right on these kind of cases.
Yeah.
And then when you get the information back from the family, saying that that the police departments and everybody actually went and found these areas and searched there and they found these people, this breaks your heart. You know.
Man, yeah, that is I can't imagine that. Like I would hate like being right, but then you find out you're right and it's like, ugh.
It's tough. Like if I
Yeah.
told the police
But
department where I feel like this person is, it would never be admissible. Well, who'd you find out from? Well, this psychic. Well, how the psychic medium world is. So it is difficult. I would love to be able to help more people like that. Because I don't feel like anybody deserves not to be, remembered. Right.
Yeah, exactly. I know I remember this case back in the I think it was the 70s where this guy had murdered his whole entire family, and Ed and Lorraine Warren tried to um say that he was possessed and the devil made him do it, and they actually tried to use that in court and it was tossed out, and I was like, yeah, I mean, how do you prove that, like, that a demon made him murder his whole family?
Yeah. Hmm. And I will have to say this, not on his concepts, but um one thing I will never be around, and that's a Ouija board. I know it's a game, I know a lot of kids who play the Ouija board, but I would never, ever, ever be around the Ouija board because it does bring out some bad stuff. And if you don't know how to close the portal, you're in pretty bad shape, right? With me, I like I said, I have spirits come through my house all the time, but they have crossed over, right? With those types of spirits, I have no worry about. It's the other ones that I have to worry about. Okay. But I guess what I'm trying to do is explain to people that both do exist by doing what I do.
So have you ever, like you said, you encountered the spirits that have crossed on, that you've helped crossed on in your
Sure.
investigations. Um, have any like have you encountered any demons? I know Danny had shown me a clip of a either a demon or a dark spirit in a live that you guys did. Has that happened to you often where a demon kind of reaches out?
Yeah, it in essence it does happen more than you think. Um, you can find them out in the field anywhere, basically. Go to like I don't know, an old hospital type thing that has a psychiatric ward or something like that. Go in there and find out what you see. But I have found out personally by doing readings for people over TikTok. Okay. One of them was in New York, my last one, and I kept hearing footsteps behind her. And I says, "Are you moving?" She's like, "No, I'm sitting here on the couch." I said, "Are you alone?" She says, "Well, my little boy is in his bed, but he's sleeping. That's all that's here." Says, "I'm hearing footsteps, and they're getting louder." Um, she started hearing them
I like
too, and
that.
come to find out, I did a little bit of remote viewing. Come to find out, it was one of the original owners of that condo. Um, and he had actually committed suicide in her bathtub, and she would never ever use her bathtub in that bathroom.
Oof.
So that's who it was.
Ye-
I mean, and that's horrible to a sense, but he wound up being a very negative entity, and I mean, I gave her everything that I could possibly do for protections for that night. Um, but yeah, you could plainly hear his footsteps on the phone while she's talking to me. And he's going back and forth to the bathroom, to the kitchen, to the bathroom, to the kitchen, back and forth. And this is like an hour.
And
Yeah.
did you is that spirit still in her house, or is it like has she gotten rid of it?
Yeah, I told her what to go and get, and it was removed. Yeah, it was finally removed. But now, like I said, it was removed from that property. But who's to say it didn't go to another property, right?
It's a running joke on the podcast that I am in search of the like haunted objects, haunted things.
Mm.
Like my goal is to bring a ghost into this house, much to my wife's chagrin. But have you ever encountered objects that are a ghost has been attached to, like paintings or like I don't know what anything they've been attached to?
As a matter of fact, 2 weeks ago, I just got rid of a huge mirror that was placed on my wall 13 years ago. And since day one, my mother is the one who purchased the mirror from an estate sale. And I never really liked it, but I never could get rid of it because of she liked it.
Mhm.
Um, so it hung here for many years until I just got to the point to where I was doing my mediumship on TikTok one night in the dark here in my living room. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to dive into this. And I did some scrying into the mirror. And personally, I saw three dark entities there. And then I turned back around and I had my camera facing the mirror. And all the ladies in there in my stream, she was like, "Terry, we see lots of people there." I said, "I don't know you do."
That's creepy.
Yeah. But yeah, I just never did like it, and I put my REM pod up there and my K2, and I also did the flashlight method, and I put it down on my couch, and I told it, I said, if there's anything strong enough or powerful enough in this mirror, can you please turn on this flashlight? Now, mind you, I have a mag flashlight. It takes a lot of power. Okay. Well, it wasn't 10 seconds after I asked it, and that flashlight just came right on. So
Ooh.
I said, okay. I said, thank you for turning my flashlight on. So now can you turn it back off for me? You said later, snapped right back off. I said, okay, thank you. So yeah, needless to say, I smudged it really good, taped it up, keep everything bound into the mirror, and I got rid of it the next day.
When you say you got rid of it, did you destroy it, or did you just like donate it? Like, I'm always terrified of donating a haunted object and like having someone else have that ghost. But
Right.
did you destroy it?
Well, first and foremost, you don't destroy mirrors. Okay. You can bury them face down. Okay. Um, you know, pretty deep into the ground, so nobody will, step on it, break it, whatever. So you can do that face down and then put the dirt back up on it. Okay. So you can put some tar water or anything like that. Salt is good into the soil. That will keep everything in, and you won't have any problems. But yeah, it amazes me how many people want to break mirrors.
What happens if
So
you break a mirror?
you release everything that's inside the mirror.
Oh.
So if there
No.
was 8 entities in there, 8 entities can come out. Okay. When we talk about mirrors being portals, we're not kidding. Mirrors can be portals, especially if you hang 2 mirrors that are facing each other on separate walls. They create what they call a vortex, and they can open up a portal, and you're drawing things from the unknown through that portal. Okay, and you're drawing them right into your house unknowingly.
So in theory, we had a mirror and then like a mirrored medicine cabinet, and they were kitty corner to each other, but every time you opened the medicine cabinet they would face each other, and
Mhm.
that's the mirror I broke. How screwed did I make this house?
Well, if it's not facing the other mirror for any long times, you should be fine. It's like when you have them facing each other on a continual basis, it's like they almost gather energy together and they create this portal, and it just opens everything up to the spirit world, just like said game that we were talking about. Okay,
Well, now I'm
so
like
it
taking
is a
stock of where all my mirrors are. I'm
yeah,
like, I have a lot of mirrored stuff at Christmas. Like, do I need to
yeah,
be conscious of where I put
yeah,
my mirrors at Christmas?
yeah. Just don't put any mirrors towards another mirror that's facing each other.
Oh, that's
So
gonna be a lot of feng
it
shui.
it's kind of like putting Holden's glasses up to your glasses, right? Don't do that. Okay,
Ah.
that'd be a no-no.
Well, I don't have any permanent mirrors facing each other. But I'm just gonna have to be
Yeah.
very cognizant at Christmas because
Yeah, I mean, after a period of time, they can turn into, you know, said portals, but, you just never know. It's just like playing the game. You don't know what you're bringing out, and if you don't know what you're bringing out, you don't know what you're dealing with and how to do anything with it, okay? So that's the biggest problem with those types of games.
So I have heard, and I don't know if this is true. You can tell me if it's not. That if a when a person is passing away, you're
Yes.
supposed to cover your mirrors up in your home. Like if they're in your home, they're passing away. Like cover
Mhm.
your mirrors, and I'm guessing that's because their spirit can go into the mirror. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Mhm. Absolutely. But we all like to think like I've seen, unfortunately, many people pass over in my lifetime. Um, but we always hope and pray that we see signs that if someone is right on the last verge of passing and they're going into the light, right? So a lot of times their parents will be there to help them across, okay, into that white light. But I've had people say, just sing and everything, and they would say like, "Oh my gosh, these angels are so beautiful and everything," but to the normal naked eye, you'd never see it, right? But these who are crossing over see a lot more than what we do. Absolutely. I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree.
Mhm.
So going back to haunted objects for a second, if I wanted to find and buy a haunted object,
Okay.
um, where if I was at an estate sale or a yard sale, what things should I be looking for that might be haunted?
Whew, Lord mercy. Just about anything. Yeah. That's why it's very hard for me holding to go into like antique stores. I can't go in there. There's nothing in those stores that are good for me. Okay.
You would really
Anything
hate
that
our house.
everything in there somebody has used. And when somebody has used it, they leave their energy imprint on it. Okay. It's just like you and that microphone. If you move that microphone 4 times, 5 times a day, you're still leaving your imprint. Okay. So if somebody was to buy that after maybe you pass, Lord, I hope you don't, but that has got your imprint on it. Okay. So that's the same thing as anywhere else. It could be a hairbrush, it could be a mirror of a lady who combed her hair every night at the same time. Stuff like that keeps there's a print on it. And unfortunately, there isn't really anything that we don't or can't put our imprint on that wouldn't be quote unquote haunted.
So,
Uh,
like, I have, for example, my great 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 grandma's mantle clock that's
Uh-huh.
gone
Yeah.
through a lot of people. Would be
Okay.
a good chance that there are like imprints of my like previous family members on it. I
Sure.
guess nobody touches it that much.
Well, I mean, you don't, I'm not going to say you don't, you have to touch it a lot in order to have that real firm energy around something that you may be attached to, right? I mean, first there's going to have your imprint, and then you're going to have an attachment because the more you use it, touch it, play with it, whatever you have to do, the more energy you build up on that item, right? And then once that person may pass over, if they don't want to pass over into the light, then they can pass over and just grab a hold of that hairbrush, right? Or your clock. So, but stuff like that that's been in the family, not. I wouldn't say there's a high chance of it. No, but is there a possibility? Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe that explains why it can't hold time anymore. You can't
Yeah.
wind it to hold time. It could
um.
also be that it's quite old.
Oh, is it old? Okay.
Oh yeah, it's very old. I don't know how when it's from.
Oh wow. Wow.
1870,
yeah, 1870, I think.
1860,
Oh,
something like that.
no, it is old. Yeah. That's about as
Yeah,
old as me.
it's very old. It's kinda cool though because I have one that I can't that's like came through my family, and then sitting at Holden's parents' house is the exact same one that came through his family, and
Oh
somehow we
wow.
both just have these clocks, and so at some point in time, they'll be sitting next to each other, I'm sure, and we'll have to mark it and be like, "This
So
this is
that would
from
be
this line."
yeah. Well, there are a few things that you can do to keep things, or out of different things or away from you, so on and so forth. So, I mean, you don't have to go undefeated all the time and feel like you have to look out for every little thing. But one of the biggest things
How
I
can
do
I
not like are dolls.
Oh God, when we bought this house, the previous owner, and she was still alive, but she had the entire downstairs full of dolls. And I
Mm-mm.
almost didn't buy the house because there's so many dolls in here.
Oh no. Uh-uh.
that was that was one of the first things we did is there in every room there were these big massive shelves,
Yeah.
and when we toured the house they were just full of dolls, and then we got to the
No.
house and said, the shelves are coming down, the shelves are leaving.
Mm-mm. The first sight of one doll when stepping in that house, I would have been gone. That would have broke the deal right then and there. I mean, to me, I don't care if
Black.
it's a stuffed animal or if it's a porcelain doll, right? Both of those have a great possibility of having spirits in them. Okay. Take for example, look at what Annabelle's made out of, right? So Annabelle is
Annabelle
just a Raggedy Ann, whatever. That's all she is, but she's evil, and you don't ever want to look in her eyes.
oh,
Ugh.
Annabelle, and there's what is it? Robert the doll in
Yeah,
Florida.
Robert is. Yeah, he's horrible too. But
Um, So the last thing I want to know is what is the most memorable place that you've ever investigated? Like either it was really a crazy experience or just like such a satisfying investigation.
well, I don't know of anyone that's been real satisfying. Uh, but my most memorable and the most active with things that I saw, heard, felt was Waverly Hills Sanitarium. That is a true, true place of spiritual activity. And we're not talking really good spiritual, spirit activity is very dominant there. And there's a lot of bad.
Yeah, I
But
don't think I want to visit anywhere that's infamously known for bad spiritual.
right.
Though I honestly feel like Holden's gonna drag me through one of them. So I'm keeping my third eye closed. Nobody
Well,
can touch me. Get out of here.
here's something for you to think about, Emily.
Hmm.
Now I know you've been on vacation and you've stayed in a hotel, right?
Yep.
Okay. When you go into that hotel for the night and you go in there and say you get ready to take a shower and get ready to go to bed and all this other stuff, you don't know anything about what happened in that hotel room, do you?
No, I do not.
So, what would you do if you were like relaxing, reading a book or whatever, and laying on the bed, and you says, "If there's anybody here, turn on the water faucet." What would you do if they did?
I'd say, "Excuse me, Holden, we are leaving." I'd also say, um, why would I say that? I like to
Because
live in my perfect little bubble of I will not talk to you. You do not talk to me. We can
theoretically,
coexist
you got to
in
think
the
about it this
same
way, though.
space.
Well, yeah, they are. We're all in the same space, and I'll tell you the reason why. But theoretically, you don't know about any particular home to rent, apartment to rent, or even a hotel room. You don't know what has happened in those places, right? So you're going in there at your own risk. Okay. Same thing with just like Waverly Hills Sanitarium. You're going in there at your own risk. So it's still the same thing, right?
I
But
guess that's true.
you just kind of have to know you've got that in your head that, okay, well, if I go to Waverly Hills Sanitarium, I know that I've heard there's bad stuff in there, so you're gonna get prepared, right? Versus just going into the hotel room, taking a shower, getting relaxed, and going to bed, right? There's a difference there. Your brain controls your thinking, right? So when we don't know something about a place, we don't tend to think about negative things. But what we have to understand is it doesn't matter where we go, there's always spirits around us. Okay. And the reason I'm a firm believer of that is because one, like I said, they come through my house all the time. But two, if you think about it, we all, as a human race, we are all energetically connected. Okay. So theoretically, you can say, well, we're all one big happy family throughout this whole planet, right? Well, no, it's not
Mm-hmm.
wrong because we're not always happy.
Right.
But energetically
Rarely
connected,
happy.
yes, because even the blade of grass is a living thing. And as long as it is a living thing, it has energy. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, but yeah, it's a different thing that we all have to mentally think about because our minds don't want us to go there. We don't.
Yeah. Even just sitting here thinking about it, I'm
Yeah, you
like,
know what
well,
I'm talking
maybe we
about?
just don't go on any vacations. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll just sit happily at home with whoever ghosts are here. We're clearly cool with each other.
Right
Right.
now.
Well, I think I just saved you a couple $1,000s there, Holden.
There you
Good.
go. That's true. We do save all the money. This was very enlightening. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation.
Good, good.
I
Yeah,
will
Pearl.
still be firmly a skeptic, but it is
Okay.
interesting to talk about.
Well, okay, let me ask you a question, guys. I know you're supposed to be interviewing me, but I'm kind of interviewing you.
Go
All
for
because
it.
you're a skeptic. Okay, so do you know who the lady Patsy Cline is?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Okay. I live in the same county where her plane crashed. So Patsy and I have a really good communication together. I've gone out there and several times and I will sit there and I'll sit on the bench where her memorial is, and I'll just talk to Patsy, and I'll sing her songs. And I'm a horrible singer, by the way, but um, she will come sit beside me, and I don't care how cold it is. When she sits beside me, it's even colder. Okay, um, but I know the history with Patsy and a few people that she was in the plane with her. Okay, but um I always feel her presence. I always she never fully shows me herself. It's just more of a really clear silhouette, but she still has features. She's still got lipstick and she's made up just like she would be on stage. That
Mhm.
is how she wants to be remembered. Okay, every time I talk to her, still to this day, she's still at her crash site. So you know,
That's
I
crazy.
think that's a pretty bad thing.
Yeah. Is there a reason why she stayed there so long?
Well, one is I feel like the trauma is there from the plane crash. Okay. Her remains, what was left, is in Middle Tennessee. Okay. And that goes with the other three people that were there in the plane with her. But I feel like all of that trauma and all of that desperation and being scared, your plane coming down and crashing, there's nowhere to land it except for in woods or trees. So I feel all of that like as a palpation to her vibrations of being there, her essence being there, and not where she's laid to rest in Middle Tennessee.
It's really interesting.
That makes
Mm-hmm.
sense, though. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. It's like the most powerful thing that happened, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Terry, this has been like crazy insightful and like awesome, and I've really enjoyed it, and Emily
Yeah,
has too.
it's been
And
really fun.
there's a lot of stuff that you told us that I had literally no clue about beforehand.
Me too.
So tell our audience where they can find you.
Okay. You can find me on TikTok. Under at Medium T, or at Insane Paranormal. That's my group's name. We're basically on TikTok, and that's where I do my channeling sessions for my clients, because I think it's a good place for people to learn. Okay, I said a
Yeah.
lot of people, repeat customers, for people to come in and do readings because they've learned while I was doing a reading for somebody else. And all my subscribers there, they get to go on subscriber only paranormal walks with me. So when I do paranormal walks, they actually get to go out with me, see where I'm at. They get to see the equipment that I've got put up and how it works. But of course, not everybody's going to see and hear, smell, touch, taste whatever I do. Um, but I do want to give them as close as I possibly can to that experience that I'm trying to get to.
Well, Terry, if you're ever out here on the West Coast, hit me up. I will join you on a paranormal walk. I would be honored to join.
I
But yeah, if you're
have
ever
to find out some good places around.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you're anywhere like on the coast, like I can drive. But yeah, definitely, it would be awesome. But thank you, Terry, so much for joining us, and
No, thank you.
everyone. Yeah, and everyone go throw him a follow. He's awesome. And we'll talk to you guys in the next one.